I know I just dropped a video, but thanks for tuning in. Hit the subscribe button. This is Dark and Scorpio. Check out some of my videos. You know, I do all kinds of content, like, comment. Follow me on Facebook, Jake Nava, or Instagram. TikTok is also Dark and Scorpio. Check out some of my artwork, my tattoos. Check out some of my music. But anyways, I want to talk about music right now, but not in a good light. We're gonna talk about uh, SPM, Puff Daddy. I want to talk about the Puff Daddy situation. We're gonna talk about what else could I talk about? I wanted to talk about the Eminem and Benzino bullshit. Benzino just needs to stop making himself look like a fucking idiot. We'll get into that here in a minute because I want to talk about SPM first. Let's see, is R Kelly, the SPM thing. Puff Daddy's got his whole situation going on right now, but you know, kind of like similar to Bill Cosby. R. Kelly was always known to be with like 14-year-olds and teenage girls and stuff like that. And who else? We talk about R. Kelly and what's the other guy I just mentioned? Not SPM, but the other one. What was the other one? R. Kelly and Puff Daddy. Supposedly, Puff Daddy not only had been with underage girls, and of course, they pay for women for sex and shit like that. And I mean, come on. One thing I want to say is, I want to speak about one thing, one aspect of the music business, and then we'll get to the whole child molestation thing, because that right there is like the scum of the universe type shit. Okay, but if we're gonna go on that type shit of, I mean, shit like the rich and wealthy and the powerful and the famous and the movie stars and shit like that. I mean, you even had Donald Trump basically say he likes to grab women by the pussy, and when you're famous, they let you do anything you want. Even if you do anything you want to them. I mean, he has the allegations from Stormy Daniels, all these other females. He lost the fucking case against E. Jean Carroll, where he had to pay her, I don't even know how much, and that's not even all the other stuff he's having to pay, but he lost that case and had to pay millions because, you know, he forced himself on her. Okay, so you got people like that in Hollywood and shit like that. We've known this. And when you talking about like rappers who talk about drugs and sex and being pimps and players and shit. I mean, is it surprising that these motherfuckers are paying women for sex or pimping them out? I mean, that really isn't a fucking surprise. I mean, they literally fucking brag about being pimps and shit and fucking different hoes and shit. And I mean, hoes get paid for fucking, so, or they get pimped out by these fucking rappers. So, I mean, come on, like, that shit is kind of a given. I mean, I'm just saying that lifestyle, I mean, you know, of course, like the old school rock star lifestyle, sex, money, and rock and roll, but, you know, when you're throwing hip-hop in the mix, you know, you got drug dealing going on, drug dealing being bragged about, pimping being bragged about, and then people are appalled when these motherfuckers are caught selling a bunch of hoes, caught with a bunch of fucking drugs and guns in their house, and y'all motherfuckers looking shocked. Now, what should be shocking is the child molestation and fucking with little, like, young women and shit like that, or trying to pimp them out. That's just fucked up. Or just fucking with kids in general. That should be appalling. But the whole, like, You know these motherfuckers pimping and fucking hoes and have drugs and guns because that's all they brag about. And you catch these motherfuckers doing this shit, they're just doing what the fuck they've been promoting in their music for the last few decades. Sex, drugs, and guns, and you know what I mean, murder and all that shit. That's what they do, and pimping. I mean, that's what the fuck they do. You know what I mean? So that isn't shocking. So the whole Puff Daddy thing, but then there's allegations where he was homosexual, and you have people like Chris Brown and stuff like that. I don't know if it's true or false. I don't know if the SPM thing is true or false. I will shed my light on that here in a minute. But I wanted to go ahead and finish up the whole Puff Daddy thing because that's the most recent one. It probably ain't looking good for him, especially if he was. I mean, it's one thing if you're sex trafficking, and in other words, pimping hoes out, pimping women out, is sex trafficking, and you're like in a ring of all that shit going on because that's illegal. But then if you're gay, you're or homosexual, bisexual, that's your sexual preference. Like, who gives a fuck? We're in 2024. Don't nobody give a fuck if somebody's gay or whatever. But if he was sex trafficking teenagers or young girls, that's terrible. You know what I mean? So I don't know the details. All I know is those are kind of like the allegations that's going around. So if that's the case, that's terrible. He's definitely gonna not get shown no love in prison if you messing with kids. And so that's the end of the Puff Daddy thing because that's new. That's barely transpiring. I don't even think he's gone to court yet. I don't even know the details, and it ain't finished, so I can't speak on everything. And then they haven't even put all the information out yet. So I'm gonna leave that as a pause. We can always talk about that in another video. We can talk about the R. Kelly thing because he's already been locked up, and you got like people like Mystical who keeps beating on women. Like, didn't you learn the first fucking time? I mean, dude got out like 2 or 3 times, got lucky and got out, and kept doing the same shit and choking women out and going back to prison. Like, Mystical's a fucking dumbass. I ain't trying to talk shit on all these rappers. I'm not. And I'm not trying to gain clout because I don't promote myself as a rapper. I'm a songwriter. I'm a tattoo artist. That's my career. I've been writing songs for more than a decade. That's just what I do on the side. It's a hobby. I don't get no money from it. I probably won't ever make it like that, and I don't plan to because that's a hard thing to make it as. So I'm not trying to gain no clout as me being like I put out some rap songs and I write some songs and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to talk shit about these rappers or singers, but I feel like if they're doing anything that has to do with kids or children and teenagers, that's just fucked up. That just doesn't. And I don't care because there's a whole controversy like Cali doesn't let that fly. I've heard like different rappers like Mr. Capone and other Sardano rappers, which is Southern California. We don't want to get into gang politics. I don't want to talk about gang politics because some people can take that as a serious thing, and I don't. I'm from Texas. We don't. You know what I mean? Like I went to a gang school where there was Bloods and Crips and Southsiders, and I had some homeboys. Like I had homeboys that were Bloods and Northenials, but I went to a school that was predominantly Crips and Southsiders. But we had some of that here. But then, there's mostly Texas gangs that run the prisons and stuff like that. But we don't abide by those politics like most places, almost anywhere, unless you're talking about like certain hoods in Houston or some maybe hoods in Dallas, you might not, you might want to watch what you're wearing, but mostly in Texas, you can wear anything. You can wear red and blue. Most people that wear red will wear blue too, or rep both red and blue. I know a lot of Texas gangs in the prisons, they don't have colors. They like red and blue, like whatever color they want, you know. So our politics are different, but as far as like that being more okay, that's not different. That is one thing that's not different. Like, so cuz not only have I heard rappers from California, from Southern California, talk bad about SPM and say that doesn't fly, where they're from, but I've even heard like Northerners say the same thing, like Big Tone, which is one of my favorite rappers. I don't really listen to a lot of South Side rappers. I listen to more like Northern Cali rappers because I like that scene. I like the Bay rap scene, but I like all types of rap, like New York rap. Of course, coming from the South, I like UGK. I like Southern rap too, but I like all rap. But I kind of like more gravitate more towards the Northaniel rap because I grew up in different areas, but I kind of grew up like where I grew up in Waco is like North Waco is like you got Hispanics and blacks kind of like together. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like how Northern Cali kind of is, like they're kind of player, but the whole Hispanic and blacks kind of like together, and then that kind of player kind of like style, as opposed to like the Southern Cali where it's more like, you know, Hispanics only and just like old school cholo, you know what I mean? So anyways, like coming from my background, that kind of like what I was more attracted to. But I've heard even Big Tone talking about that doesn't fly, like with them, and like, like not trying to diss SPM. He was the only one that I noticed, like the South Side rappers were like pretty much like dissing SPM like pretty hard and calling him a chomo and shit, which I kind of agree with. And then, but I noticed that Big Tone didn't do that. He just said, I don't fuck with that. I don't want to speak on that. And especially I don't have all the, what do you call it, the like the knowledge of it, but all I know is that those allegations, like that type of stuff, doesn't fly. I will say that from Texas, and in my point of view, that doesn't fly. Like you can be in Cali, you can be in New York, you can be in fucking Mississippi, Alabama, and I know from Texas, when you go to the county, I'm not even talking about prison politics, but you go to the county, you go to jail, you're incarcerated in any kind of way, they don't take kindly to child molesters. You can get locked up for theft, for drug dealing, beating your wife, fucking shooting somebody, beating up, the police. Like you can do all kinds of shit, but once you have that sex offender, title on you, you're not welcome. You're not, it's bad for you. That's and it is, and in my opinion, that's the scum of the earth. Like, I don't care if you're a blood crip, you're a thief, you're a drug dealer, you're a pimp. Okay. Or you're, whatever you do and you get locked up. But in my opinion, somebody who messes with children or is a child molester or a sex offender, in my opinion, that's the worst of the worst. That's the scum of the universe. I would even have to say that they're worse than a snitch. And snitch, everybody knows snitches is the worst thing, worst reputation you can have in the hood, in the jail system, as a reputation, in all aspects. Snitch is the worst thing you can be labeled at. But I would have to say worse than a snitch is a fucking chomo, is a fucking sex offender. And that's just my opinion. Some people can say, oh, nah, they the same. Snitch is bad too. Snitch is just as bad as a fucking child molester. And then you have all the other things that, like murders and all kinds of shit and thieves. But no, I would have to say child molesters at the fucking bottom of the fucking barrel of the most disgusting trash. But and that's, I would say that's worse than snitching. You know what I mean? But snitching is not as a no go. But you know what I mean? Like if I had to choose to be in a room, like if I was in a room with a thief, a drug dealer, and a snitch. Oh, and there's a child molester. Nah, fucking child molester has to go. A snitch is a fucking snitch. I just know not to say something around him. I know not to do nothing around somebody who's gonna tell. But a fucking child molester, that's just the worst of the worst. That's just my fucking opinion. Um, so having that mentality, we're gonna talk about the SPM thing, and then we'll talk about the Benzino thing, just because he's a fucking idiot, man. But I will have to say, I'm gonna have to say one thing. One thing I should have said at the beginning of this video as a disclaimer. When I'm talking about these people, in no way, shape, or form am I saying that I disregard their music or that their music is whack, because it ain't. R. Kelly's got some fucking jams. SPM, I grew up to a lot of SPM's music. He's got a lot of fucking music that is good. He even sounds like he's gotten to be a better rapper than when he was free, because when he was free and I was growing up, he wasn't the greatest rapper. He just had some good songs, and everybody loved him. But I always thought he was a simple fucking rapper. But I listened to a lot of New York and West Coast rap. But he seemed really simple as a fucking rapper. But he's even sound like he's gotten better as a rapper. So when we're talking about these things, I'm not talking about their music. You know what I mean? Somebody has once said, love the art, not the musician." And that kind of makes sense. That doesn't mean that you support the person or the music. My favorite rapper in the world is Tupac, and he was alleged of forcing himself on a woman, but he denied it. He did deny it and say it wasn't true, but nobody knows. And that was my favorite rapper of all time. So I mean, somebody can argue that against me, and they would be right, you know. But there's been a lot of my favorite Game, Young Buck. Those are a few of my favorite rappers. Also, both of them have been alleged to be with transsexuals, which is a whole different topic. Because if you with another man or you're with a transsexual, that's not equivalent to being a child molester. There's nothing equivalent to being a child molester. If you like to fuck another dude in the ass, that's your that's your priority. Like that's your prerogative. That's your sexual preference. You know what I mean? That you are an adult and then you're having consensual sex with another adult, whether they're female or man. If there's a fucking looks like a female and it's a man, but it's still an adult. Like I'm talking about an adult. You know what I mean? Like grown adult, not a child. That's their fucking preference. You know what I mean? And so the like Game and Young Buck supposedly being with trans genders and shit like that. That's their business. You know what I mean? That's their. But the both of them deny it because, you know what I mean. And then even if let's say if it was true, they're gonna want to deny it just to keep their street creds, because back in the day, it was always frowned upon that you were to be homosexual or any kind of gay. Like gangs didn't look highly upon that. Now people, it's okay. I mean, but back then you couldn't be gay and be gangster or in a gang or gang affiliated and stuff like that. They would kick you out. You would be shunned. So that's probably why they fight against it so hard, because they want to keep their rep up, whether it's false or true. If it's true, nobody gives a fuck. They really don't, because this is 2022. But when we're talking about children, back to that's a whole different ball game. that is something that doesn't fly, and as BS. Like so game was accused of being with a transsexual, and he had to pay her in some fucking lawsuit, I think, or some shit like that. And Young Buck was, I still jam their fucking music. I don't look at them as any different. I really don't. Uh, I didn't really jam the game after he dissed Eminem, but that's a whole different topic. Eminem is one of my favorite rappers. I just felt like his diss was weak, and he just made himself look foolish. Like, we're gonna get to the Benzino thing, and so I still listen to them. What my problem is when they start messing with children and have the allegations as a sex offender or a child molester. I can't do it. I can't listen to their music after that point. That's just me. Even with R. Kelly, and I like the song I Wish. I like the song Keep It on the Down Low. I like those jams. But if that's what he and that's what he ever since he's been locked up, I don't jam his music. And the same thing with SPM. I really don't. I haven't jammed his music in years. So we're gonna talk about that. I'm not siding with anybody, especially we're not talking about gang politics. Siding with Southsiders or Northsiders or anybody from Cali saying that they're against him and he's this and that. All I'm saying is I disagree that I don't support that, and I don't need to listen to the music. His music is still good. That's what I want to. That's what I was saying earlier. The music is still R. Kelly's music is fucking good. That man could sing. Bill Cosby's fucking shows were off the chain. The Cosbys. The what I'm saying is it doesn't just because I don't listen to it because I don't support that action doesn't mean that they weren't talented or that they weren't credible at any point in their life because they were. You know what I mean? Um did I ever look at SPM like he was like one of the greatest, like Eminem or everybody likes their own type of music. Some people like hip hop just for the sound or if they got good beats or if they got good hit singles. Other people like hip hop if they got good lyrical rhyming ability. I'm like that. I might be more old school. So I might like Rock Kim or who else? Uh so we got Rock Kim, uh fuck, my mind just went blank. Uh KRS-One, Busta Rhymes, Eminem, uh you know, I don't know, just lyrical rappers that have great writing ability. Just because I like that, I acknowledge that other people might not like that. They might just like shit that just with a great beat and it's just like mumbling through the whole song with auto tune and there's no fucking kind of great lyrics to it, but that's what they like. That's them and there's nothing wrong with that. But I like I like lyrical rap shit and I never thought SPM was on that level. Because that's the type, but I did jam him growing up, and he does have good music. But the fact of the matter is, he has allegations. I can't, and I don't know the truth. I don't even know if it's true. Like a lot of people say, it was fake, or it was you know what I mean? That it's false allegations when it comes to the 9-year-old. Okay, so here's the facts. The facts of the matter is he was charged with having for impregnating a 14-year-old, which he has a child by, and then uh, he had I don't know if he molested, but he It was he had a charge when it came to a 9-year-old, and that was, I think somebody said that it was pertaining to his ex lying on him or something like that. It was false allegation. And it might be. I mean, it might be. You never know. You know what I mean? Like, and but at the same time, when you go to jail, they don't ask you. They don't care if you say, "Oh man, I was charged with this and this and this." Oh, but they lied on me. I'm innocent. They don't listen to that. You still gonna stay locked up. And if you're a sex offender or you're a child molester or you have those charges against you, you can scream until you're blue in the face that you guilty. I mean that you're innocent and not guilty, and that you didn't do it in jail. And them and motherfuckers are not gonna. They're not gonna listen. They're not gonna fuck with that. Because there's always that chance of what if or maybe that is true. And that right there is enough to say, nah, we don't fuck with you. And just sticking off those politics is my mentality of like, you may be innocent or you may not, but the fact is you were charged and you got locked up for that. And it's a fact that you had a child with a 14-year-old while you were way past your 20s. That right there, those facts, I don't fuck with that. I don't fuck with that. And I don't fuck with you. Like, I don't fuck with that because of those politics. We don't fuck when you in jail. It don't matter what jail, what state, jail, prison. People don't fuck with child molesters. They don't associate with them. They ain't friends with them. They ain't sympathizers. They don't show sympathy. They don't show no love. They don't show no support. And I don't either. I don't I I'm not somebody who's been in jail my whole life. I've been in jail only a few times. I haven't been in jail in more than a decade. I hope that I never go back to jail. I never want to. But that is always gonna be in their mind once they've experienced that life. Those rules that you respect others, you respect others people's spaces and shit like that, and that you don't fuck with that type of activity. You know what I mean? That's just how my mind works. Other people that have been in jail or been incarcerated in any kind of way for any kind of charges knows what the fuck I'm talking about. It's in your mind. It's you had to live it. You understand it. You know those politics, and you can't undo it. It's kind of like in your mind, it's also, I think anybody with a good moral sense knows. Hey, I might not know the the details on this situation. I might not know if this person's guilty or not, or if they're being lied on or not. But the fact is, they were charged. They were put in jail for it. That reputation alone is enough for me. It's that reputation right there is that it, you know what I mean? People let anything fly nowadays when it comes to reputation. They don't give a fuck because you got like the fucking leader of the free world wanting to be the president who has sexual allegations against him. You got all this type of shit of people that have all these kind of bad reputations, and it's just okay now. When before people cared about what their reputation, how people looked at them, how they were perceived as a businessman or a person of power or leadership. And now everything flies. Nobody gives a fuck. Anybody can be a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher and be a porn star at the same time, or do whatever the fuck they want. Or like people used to have, and I'm not talking down on none of that. I'm not shaming, but what I'm saying is, I'm just talking about how people used to have a higher respect for reputation, and now it's kind of gone out the window. Even with the higher people, like they that used to be the most important thing, is the highest people, and now it's just gone out the window where they don't care about reputation. So reputation, that's a bad rep, and somebody that has that reputation, I know, or speaking back for me, I can't do it. I don't care if the music is the greatest. You know what I mean? If it was my very favorite rapper of all time that ain't got charged with having a kid, let's say this was Tupac or Biggie. You know what I mean? One of the best, in my opinion, or Eminem, my favorite rappers, and they had a child while they're in their 20s or 30s, 40s, whatever, with a 14-year-old. And then, now on top of that, they have allegations of touching a 9-year-old, and they get locked up and they go to jail for it. And they scream that they're innocent all they want in the face, but they still had the child. They still had those charges. They still went to jail. I don't care if it was Tupac, Biggie, Eminem. All right, I was your fan, but you lost me as a fan. I no longer listen to your music. Your music was good. You know what I mean? Like, I listened to you at one point, but after after you gained that reputation, you lost me as a listener. That's just me. That's just my mentality. I know other Texans won't agree with it. I'm a born and raised from Texas Texan, and I know I've always gotten heat in my whole life for not being a Cowboys fan because I've liked the Boston Red Sox. I've liked the Patriots. I've liked, uh, and we're talking about a whole different topic, but I'm just giving an example. I like Pittsburgh Steelers. I like all these up north teams. When it comes to music, I love the fucking West Coast. Love Bay rap. I love the fucking New York rap. Harlem, shit from Queens, Nas, uh, Dipset from Queens, like all these other rappers from all these other, and I do love South rappers too. But there's a thing about Texas where a lot of Texans are like, nah, you only have to like Cowboys or Texans. You only have to support Texas rappers. You only rep red, white, blue, like goddamn, because a lot, like you wearing green for the Celtics, you're a chump, or you're wearing all yellow because you repping Pittsburgh, one of your favorite teams, you're a chump. You're not wearing red, white, blue, like goddamn, man, like. I'm born and raised in Texas, but I ain't got to like the Cowboys. I ain't got to like everything Texas. I can like other shit. But it doesn't mean that I don't like Texas shit too. I can like both. You know what I mean? So other Texans, I feel like, turn a blind eye to what that reputation is and let it kind of go out the window. And then just like, nah, he's from Texas. We gonna rep our boy, and we got our backs. We got his back because he held it down for Texas and the Hispanics and stuff like that. And I get that and I understand it. I grew up listening to SPM, but as me personally, I don't turn a blind eye to that reputation. If it was any of my homeboys, my friends, my homies, my coworkers, anybody that I know or associate with, if I find out that they have a kid and they're like my age, like 30s or 40s, whatever, and they have a kid with a 14-year-old and is uh, alleged to touch a 9-year-old and they go to jail for it, even if they tell me they're innocent, bruh, I ain't got no love for you, bruh. Like, you lost my respect because of those charges. I can't fuck with you. I can't associate with you. We ain't friends. I'm not gonna help you, support you. I ain't gonna have your back. You're on your own, buddy. And you're lucky that I don't wanna beat your fucking ass because you're supposed to be my homie and you're doing some stupid shit like that. But that's on a whole different topic. But I will say I'd have to cut somebody like that off, and I can't support that. So if that was one of your friends or your homies, if you still say, nah, man, I'm gonna be there for the homie. He's holding it down for my city, my town, my people, and he's my homie, whatever. I'm gonna still support him, you know, or like, nah, man, he's telling the truth. Like he's like you gonna totally disregard that bad reputation and still support your homie. I don't care what homie it is of mine. That ain't no homie no more once they have that reputation. But everybody's different. Some people might feel different. They still feel like they'll support that dude, still support the music, and still support the fact that they were friends or he's repping their hood or their state or whatever. And that's all. That's their choice. But that's not my choice. My choice is if that was my homie or a friend or whatever, um, yeah, you fucked that up. We're no longer friends, homies, nothing. We ain't nothing once you gain that reputation. You can tell me you're innocent, but that's a bad reputation that I don't want to be associated with because that's the lowest of the low and that's the scummiest of the scummiest. Scum of the universe, but that's just my fucking opinion. So, I have no hate towards SPM. I don't know the facts. I don't know if he's innocent or guilty. I'm not a judge. But what I can say is that those charges were real. He's it is actual facts and it's factual that he's been locked up for it. That right there has gained a reputation on its own already of what his charges are. And that right there is enough for me to not be associated with that. But that's just, you know, my mentality. You know what I mean? I don't hate him. I ain't dissing him. I ain't talking down. I ain't talking trash. Um, Nothing like that. But because I know he's got a lot of love and supporters here in my state. But all I'm saying is, I won't listen to his music because that there's nothing cool about that reputation. There's nothing that's bad. That's the lowest of the low. So that's just me. I don't hate him. I don't. His music. I used to like his music. His music ain't bad. But like I said, I just won't listen to it because I don't want to be associated with that, and I don't think that there's nothing good about that. And the last thing I will say is Benzino needs to just shut the fuck up, making himself look stupid. He made himself look stupid on Drink Champs. I was going to react to that shit, but I was like, nah. And then I couldn't get the video I couldn't like do a reaction video and insert a video in my video because I used to know how to do it, but I haven't been able to do that in a while. I'm not even gonna give that the time of the day. He's a joke. And like I said, R. Kelly's music was good. P. Diddy's music, a lot of people don't fuck with P. Diddy. Puff Daddy has some jams. SPM had fucking jams too. Benzino, I'm not gonna say he had jams, but some of his shit was alright with his group and shit, you know, from Boston. He wasn't like terrible. And dude did own the biggest magazine in rap history, which is The Source. But you obsessed over him, man. You hated him. You hated because you hated Eminem for being a bigger rapper than yourself, being a better rapper, and the fact that he's white, you hated it all your life, and you still ain't gotten over it, and you crying about it like a little weenie. Hey, if you have to go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom, okay? I was playing with them. But anyways, that dude right there made himself look like a fucking fool. If he would just shut up, make his money, go do some shows, maybe be a producer, get on some other kind of magazine, he might be all right. He might actually make it. But making yourself look like a fool, you got all of Detroit wanting to beat your ass because you're going in their city. Man, there's so much I could talk about. Whack 100 expose you. And that kind of goes along with what we were talking about with the Young Buck and Game shit. expose you for, you know, some crazy shit, man. Yeah, Benzino, he's that's just he's just terrible. He's done what's that word? He's incriminated himself terribly, and nobody else could do it worse than he did it to himself. Nobody could diss him and give him so much incrimination as he's done himself, and that's terrible. And that's all I got to say about the fucking rap world, the music world right now. Y'all stay tuned. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If you support SPM, if not, ain't no hate. You know, just you know what I mean. Just let me know your. It's just our own different opinions. R. Kelly, P Diddy, the Benzino and Eminem thing. Let me know what you guys think on any of that. Y'all stay tuned.